Congratulations on purchasing the Bivouac 1.5. Our tent gives you the convenience of a bivy sack, but the comfort of a tent. It's made of 15D nylon, it's tough, durable, and waterproof. Let's get into the setup. Let's get the tent out and set the mountain stick down. Pull the tent out, conveniently located at the top. I'm going to look and survey the area that I'm going to be setting the tent up. We're uphill, sideways. We're going to go ahead and run the head of the tent over here and the foot over here. So I'll open up the sack, pull the tent out. When you pull it out, set the sack down someplace where you won't lose it. If it's windy, you definitely want to put something on it. Red bag has the stakes in it. Set those down. Then I'll go ahead and open the tent up, fold it out, and then locate the logo. That's the first thing I want to do, because the logo tells me which side is right for the tent and which is the front. So I found the front of the tent. Let's go ahead and throw it out. I feel like things are pretty clear here. There's not going to be anything to punch a hole in the bottom of the tent. So I'll lay it out and bring it all the way out and exposed so you can see it. Just like that. Next step is, go ahead and pull a couple of stakes out. Now inside this bag, you're going to find there's a couple little pieces of rope that are wrapped up. You need to save those because we need those later. So I've set these down, set this bag over where I know it won't blow away. And I find the corners of the tent. You go through the rope or you can go through the loop, either one. Set it into the ground. Do the same thing over here, the same loop. Pull it kind of snug so there's some tension to it, and then just poke it right into the ground just like that. And we'll go to the front, take a couple of stakes all the way up here to the front. Take these two loops together. Now you can either put it through the tape, the nylon webbing, or I usually just put it through these rope stakes. Pull it snug and then push it into the ground. Sometimes you got to work it around a little bit to get it in because of rocks, obviously. Now remove the poles from the inner poles from the mountain stick. To do that, you just hold on to the leash right there, pull a little bit of tension on the leash, and undo this D-ring. It's pretty simple. Once the D-ring is out, take the handle off, set it to a place where you're not going to lose it, tip the mountain stick out. Now there's a trick to it. If you want, you can actually get these things to come out that way, which is kind of fun. Set one main shaft on one side, loosen up the mid-sized pole, and then loosen up the smaller pole. You know, both of them release at the different ends. And then we're going to take this all the way down to this end right here. And I set it there. Let's go ahead and set up the front part of the tent first. So if you'll take the mid-sized pole, thread it into the main housing like that. There is a little cup right here. I put my finger into that little cup so it opens it up. Stick the tip in like that. Come up to the top of the pole, loop it over the main housing and extend it. Then clockwise tighten it. If you come over on the other side now, let's show you how to put the tip in the other side. You do the same thing except you're using the main shaft. You'll put your finger in this cup as well, put the tip of the pole into that, extend it, and then just lock the barrel clamp. The barrel clamp is designed to slip on and off, so every once in a while it'll slip up. You just slip it right back on and lock it up. In the back apex of the tent, I want to show you there's a reinforcement cup. You don't have to use this unless you're going to get into some big winds, but you can set this tip into this cup as well. You got to put your finger in and stuff it in there. I typically don't do that just because we're not in that much bad weather. You know, there's no point in getting the reinforcement and hassle of bringing it out. Just stick it right up in there. Loosen the pole, extend it till it's snug, and then tighten it. Once it's tight, you can take another pole or stake and then stake this out. The ABS tensioners on these are used for your convenience to tighten the tent. They're quick, easy, they're strong, and they're ultralight. Your tent won't come with the guy lines tied and ready. You're going to have to do that yourself. So let's go ahead and get into that. We pull these little bags out. Each one of these bags has a guy line in it. So you have to get the bag open, which is sometimes a struggle, but I'll use a stake to help me out. I got a little knife. Open up the bag, pull the guy line out, loosen up the guy line, and then you're going to put it through this ABS tensioner. If you look closely at this ABS tensioner, the ABS tensioner is strong, it's lightweight, and we thought it appropriate for this product. You start by threading the guy line through the back end of it, up over the top, and then down through that little hole right there. So how it locks, it loosens. You lift up on it, it loosens. You pull on it, it's tight, right? Watch this. See how that pulls and loosens? That is what you want to do. When you, in the very back, you have to loop the back pole around with these two pieces of tape. It has to go through the center of it, so it gives it lateral stability. If you don't do that, it's going to flop from side to side. But if you go ahead, take this loop that's here, it's built into the ABS tensioning loop, put it right over the top of it, now you're good to go. Loop the other end of the guy line. I just do a simple overhand knot. Loop it through, so you create a loop for the stake to hold this end, because this is will tension the spine of the tent. Now you don't have to have two stakes out here if you don't want to. If you want to be a minimalist, you can just use this one right here. You just loop it through and then you can tension it. We'll go to the front now and do the same thing in the front with the ABS tensioner. I've taken a guy line out of the bag. I'll loop the ABS tensioner with the guy line the same way I did it in the rear. So it goes up through the back, tightens through the front, and again you can loosen it just by lifting this up. Tie a overhand knot on the other end. I'm going to set my knife down here. Don't need that in the way. Tie the overhand knot, take the stake, or you can use the stake that's already in there. Either way, and now you can tension the spine of the tent. So the tent's set up. Now we're going to move towards the rear. Before you take it out on your adventure, set it up at home. It makes it a lot easier. This side of the tent is made of two walls. One is mesh, as you can see, all the way up in there, and the other is just of the nylon. So if I take a piece of rope that's maybe 1.5 feet to 2 feet, I cut it, I'm going to then put it into this ABS tensioner. Slip it through the ABS tensioner just like I did all the others. It starts out going through the back, and then goes down through the front. You can imagine if this is burned flat, it's really hard to stick through there. That's why shaping it beforehand is important. You get one, the other end, just go ahead and do an overhand knot again. And grab your stake, put your stake through the loop, set it in the ground how you like it. Now this is part you can just tension that up. Now you've got air that can move from underneath your tent in and out. This is important to maintain good ventilation. As you know, bivy sacks tend to condense. We try to alleviate a lot of these problems by venting this, and we'll describe venting a little bit later. Let's go to the other side. Take this bottom part, take that loop, and go ahead and stake it into the ground. You can take your ABS tensioner, and if you want, you can actually set this out on a branch somewhere, or you can loop it around this and tension it like so. Now you've got things sort of set up. Let's go ahead and tension everything so it looks more like a tent. Check your corners a little bit, make sure that they do what you want them to do, and you're good to put your bag in. Down here in the front of the tent, you can tension the tent by putting a stake in this loop and pulling it one direction or the other, depending on what you need, to give you a little more security, but it does mean that you'll have another stake on either side that you'll have to carry. Either one of those are fine. As you can see, the first time putting this together seems slow and complicated, but once you do this once or twice, you'll find out the setup to be faster and easier than any of the other tents you own.